Hey guys, so here bringing you another video and welcome to the patch notes. And yes, it's been a while because Riot had their summer break, so it's been a 3-week gap. And obviously, of me uploading this, Split 1 is done. Split 2 is starting in theory tomorrow, and that's obviously when we'll have a little partial ranked reset. They might tell it here, little ranked reset, little placements. You shouldn't really feel the effects. The rumor is obviously on a normal ranked, season change, it's usually about a 4 divisional demotion when you kind of have your reset. Well, 4 to 5. The rumor is it's going to be like a 2. So, like, for example, for me, if I'm Diamond 1 or 2, I might be low Diamond. Obviously, there is Emerald rank now coming in, so that might change things, but we'll see. But anyway, the big, obviously, thing, and I will just announce it here because I may as well, the new summer event, Soul Fighter, the arena mode. I've played it a bit. I actually played it today. Today's Tuesday, obviously, because there was no rank to play. Played it on the PBE to get used to it. I absolutely love it. It's really good. I do think there's going to be balance issues and there's certain champions that you see all the time, but do expect content, and I really hope people will enjoy that. It's really fun. I'm going to play ranked in it. I'm going to try and rank up. I think Gladiator might be the highest rank in it. Or maybe it's just Challenger. I don't know. But we'll see how we do with that, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it. So let's get into it. Decent patch note, by the way, because it was obviously been such a big break. Finally, Hecarim is being nerfed. He's dodged nerfs for so long. Jax nerfs Karthus, Kindred, Milio, Rek'Sai, Rel, and Rengar, and buffs to Aatrox. Diana surprises me. Lissandra, Shaco, Shyvana, Volibear, Xerath, and Zyra. System changes, a lot again. Aximark, blue buff, Gale Force, Ghost, Infinity Edge, Prowlers, Randuin's red buff, Spear, Spirit Visage, Static Shiv again, Sterix, and Triforce. The new champion Nefari is coming in, or Neferi, whatever the hell. Prestige Soul Fighter, Pike, Lux, Neferi, Pike again. So he's got the Prestige, obviously. Samira, Set, and then Star Guardian Senna. Oh. No. So yeah, that's an ultimate skin. There has been controversy about this skin because Riot a few years ago were literally quoted, an ultimate skin will always have unique animations, etc., because it's an ultimate skin. That skin does not have unique animations. It's the exact same as base Samira, just with fancy effects. So there has been quite a lot of backlash. The new champion's coming out on the 20th, and also, well, I presume the 20th is also when maybe the arena mode is coming out, because that's when the skins are coming out. So mid-season ranked reset, season 2023, split rewards will be distributed, etc. And you should get them by August 14th. The date's obviously when everything is ending and starting. By the time you watch this, it's already ended. But start time, just look for your own region and go from there. So, for example, tomorrow, if you're just EU West for in the UK, it is starting at noon, midday is when the new ranked season starts. So there's that. And then changes obviously to actual ranked is no promotional series. The amount of placement games have gone from 10 to 5, and there's also new Emerald tier, which is between Platinum and Diamond. Is worth knowing because, again, you're still getting the end of my season, or split 1, sorry. Obviously, I made it into Master promo twice recently, and if this was the exact same situation but without promos, I'd be Master right now because there wouldn't be promos. So that is kind of interesting. Soul Fighter, again, the new arena mode. Oh yeah, it is Gladiator. It looks really fun. As I've said, please do prepare that I am going to play it. So hopefully it should be good. Tournament of Souls. It's, I guess, a new gaming client. So yeah, there's a little mini game that you can play there as well, and you can claim rewards, etc. And there's all story elements and everything like that. Let's get into it though. So new champion. I'm not, I would say, hyped about this champion as much as I thought I'd be. Like, she does seem in many aspects just to be generic assassin number 5. And, yeah, her gimmicks is dog and they have also other dogs. But she just does generic assassin things. There's not really anything. And I guess the thing that is supposed to be making her unique is, oh, she has a pack of dogs. It kind of just feels like Elise Spiderlings, to be honest. It doesn't feel that unique. So I don't know. I'm not that hyped about her coming to League, but whatever. Aatrox, though. Obviously, Aatrox got nerfed down quite a lot because he completely took over both solo queue and pro play, especially pro play. But they obviously had to technically over nerf him just to make him go away, because sometimes that's what Riot has to do. They'll nerf something to make it not OP, but then pro players like, we're still going to play it every game, and it's just, you know, viewership and everything goes down in pro play if people are just playing the same thing over and over and over and over again. So sometimes they have to over nerf it to make it just be like, right, he's gone, goodbye. And obviously, yeah, that does affect solo queue, but it's always what they've done. So his Q is going from first cast. Okay, so the first cast is getting a... Okay, so it's a base damage nerf. It's an AD ratio increase. 20% at max rank. That's quite a considerable buff, actually. Only for the first cast, though. And again, this will be a buff at that amount of AD, so like 100 AD, I guess. The second cast Q will still deal 25 more damage than base damage, and third cast will still deal 50% more. And there's also a minion modifier also, so it's actually helping with wave clear too. So that just gives him a bit more power. Diana, W shield increased, damage per orb increased, and E magic damage increased. I don't know why the hell you'd buff Diana. You still see it every now and then. You still see it building full tank. I don't know why you'd buff this at all. So when they say Diana's been weak since our adjustments to her and her tank build, then people are still doing it, and it doesn't seem that weak, to be honest. This has been becoming more apparent over the past few patches, the point that she's deserving of a buff. Yeah, I disagree, but oh well. The shield strength is going up by base and also a 5% AP ratio. It's obviously also, and this is where obviously the tank build has good synergy, the more health you get, it was also giving bonus health in the shield, but it already gave that. And then the magic damage from the shield is also going up. A 3% ability power buff. Doesn't seem like a lot, but it's those 3 orbs. So like it's a decent damage buff for what is supposed to be a defensive ability. And then Luna Rush, her E, is also getting a damage buff through ability power. So the only thing that I would say is maybe these ability power buffs are trying to make people go, no, build ability power on Diana, not tank. But I think it's still not... These changes aren't making people go, oh, I'm not going to buy a Demonic and Yak Show. Like, because why wouldn't you? That's the point. There's no downside to doing that. You become incredibly tanky just with those 2 items, then buy other AP items. There's no negative to being that tanky with Yak Show and Demonic. It just seems to be a bit meh to me. Hecarim, W bonus armor and MR decreased. I mean, that's not exactly the nerf that I think people would want. Obviously, yes, it does help because he's weirdly tanky sometimes with obviously having full damage carry. But I think people were more wanting his damage to be nerfed. Like, he's not really designed by, just as a champion designed to be an early game carry, really. He's more of a mid game kind of thing. And the damage that he can actually output at the early game with, E and Ghost, sometimes the Phase Rush, he can, like, near one-shot people at, like, level 3 or 4, and it's like, that doesn't feel okay. And then, obviously, put it with Duskblade as being a really unhealthy item still. It's just not that healthy of a champion. So I'm surprised we're not seeing actual damage nerfs for him, but... Riot has really liked Hecarim, and you've been probably hearing me say it in solo queue for quite a while, going, where the hell are they nerfing this champ? Obviously, there is some bias, and I've always said it, and I know people go, oh, here he goes again. There has to be human bias towards certain champions, otherwise they would get nerfed. And Hecarim has been avoiding nerfs for months. Literally months he's been avoiding nerfs, and his first nerf is not that big of a deal. So, yeah. Jax E cooldown increased, arm mana cost increased. Okay, so obviously stat stick champions like Jax there's not much skill expression going on. He mainly just right clicks on you. They're usually always a problem. Jax has always been a problem, obviously, because he's fantastic in late game. But then the weird thing, and so many people, and I've seen it on Reddit as well before, people going, so where is Jax's weakness? He gets early game, it's not that bad anymore. He buys a Sheen and he can kill most top laners, and then he has hyper scaling into late game, and there's not really much skill expression. You just get auto down. Yeah, it is the nature of sometimes these type of champions. So, and you can also see that they are talking a lot about Shojin. They said it with Hecarim. They're saying with Jax. They're buffing Shojin. It's going to make these champions strong. And again, that's the funny thing. They're nerfing Hecarim not by damage when they're going to be buffing Shojin, which has historically always been a good Hecarim item. Favoritism. Anyway, so his E these are just straight up nerfs, which is good because he does need them. 1 second cooldown across the board, more for E, so it makes his dueling capability less often. That's good. And then his ultimate, it's a decent mana cost for Jax. Jax is not a champion that builds too much mana, so having 100 mana cost on his ultimate double, that is more considerable. It is more considerable. Karthus, Q base damage decreased, damage to monsters increased, and E mana restoration decreased. So Karthus bot lane has been a very potent force, quickly overtaking games that he's given a free reign in. Not to mention the fact that he's been picking up in popularity. Yeah, so the reason why Karthus, well, naturally the champion has just been quite strong, but it's the same philosophy that we've kind of said, is there are certain champions that they're a bit more forgiving. You don't have to necessarily be very good at them to make them work well. Sion is probably the number one offender or Yumi's the number one offender of that. Then Sion, maybe then Karthus. You could feed and be terrible, but you're still going to be very potent. You're still going to eventually be really strong. And obviously Karthus is always useful. You just press R eventually. You're like, ah, I'm useful. So yeah, and he's just always been quite good. Obviously, he moved into jungle for a very long time, which you still can do. But they just want to move him away from being dominant in bot lane. So the magic damage, it doesn't look like many nerfs, but you have to remember this is a very spammable ability. His skills, you press Q all the time. So little damage numbers go a long way because it's the constant damage that is hurting, like little nerfs. They are giving him better monster damage modifier. They're just making 100% non 95. So basically saying go back in the jungle with Karthus. And also less mana restoration on enemy takedown, which again is kind of a nerf to laning Karthus, because if you just last hit your minions, you never go and there you go. Kindred, base health increased, base armor increased, Q base damage decreased, and cooldown increased. So yeah, pretty damn good. Kindred's been for a while. Triforce, I think a lot of people are still buying on her. Weirdly tanky in some ways too. So base health, though, is going up by 30. Base armor is going up by 3. And then the actual changes for the champion are damage nerfs to the Q. And it's going to also be a 1 second longer cooldown. So tanky things, but then less damage. And you can see Kindred's most common and successful builds are pretty tanky right now. So why are they buffing her tank stats? Odd. Lissandra. Passive quality of life changes added. Q will now slow all enemies hit. R heal increased. Damage and slow application increased. Okay. I played Lissandra a few weeks ago, if you remember, against that Fizz, and it went very well. But the problem with Lissandra, and I said it, I think, even in that video, she's not a just mid laner that you can just randomly take in most games. She's not an Anivia. She's not that level of champion, She's a really good counter pick. And what does she counter pick? Melee assassin mid laners. That is what she's really good against, because they can't really go near her, and if they do, you can just blast them with CC and encase them in ice, or they go for an all-in, you can ult yourself and avoid basically all their damage. She's very, very good into them, and any type of buff, unless they make her broken, isn't really going to change that. That is just what this champion is good at. So the Thralls will now stop at final frames before exploding. Thralls will continue to chase targets down until they explode. That's nice. Thralls will now follow enemies into a bush or bushes if they are already being chased down. That's a good change. And Thralls are revealed to enemies through Fog of War. Okay, so you see them coming, so you just don't randomly walk into one. Obviously, if you don't know what that is, when Lissandra kills somebody who has been involved in a kill, the dead champion becomes an ice, basically, bomb that walks towards the nearest enemy and explodes. So those are nice changes to that. But the enemies now can see them easier. Q. So it used to just slow the first enemy hit. It's now all enemies. And Q will cast from position post rather than pre-cast. Okay, that's cool. And then the R tome. Tomb Tome. More healing with also a much bigger AP ratio. Wow, she's going to be healing a lot now. Nice. And damage and slow application was 4 times per second. It's now 16 times per second. Also nice. And dash interest is updated logic slightly around stopping dashes. So some people may go like, oh, a lot of these changes are really good for Lysandra. Why? All of these changes, practically, the way that I would sometimes define change is these changes are not making her OP. They're not making her too strong. These changes would be exactly what Lysandra would have right now anyway if she was released in 2023. That you have to sometimes, when it comes to quality of life changes and actual ability updates, not just number tweaks, not, oh, that number's been nerfed by 2 or that number's been nerfed by 6. Forget number tweaks. Sometimes when the abilities themselves gets updated, it is simply that. Lysandra was released, God, whenever, 2015 or something. If she was released in 2023, she'd have all this stuff. The damage and slow application would be happening way more often because that's just the way of the game nowadays. She'd be healing more. Her Q would slow everything. Why would it just slow the first thing? It would slow everything because that's more what modern champions do. The power creep, obviously, in the game, we've spoken about it many times, are newer champions stronger on average than old? The answer is yes, mainly just because of power creep. Their kits do so much more and have power crept up. Whenever, you know, something happens in League, they constantly have to kind of do better than the last, and that's what happens. So I'm fine, obviously, with them updating older champions to bring them to the level of newer ones, because otherwise they just get left in the dust. Milio, passive burn damage decreased, E bonus movement speed decreased. So yeah, just 2 straight up nerfs for Milio. Pretty much deserved, I will say. He's a very strong enchanter. I like him. He doesn't have a lot of skill expression, and enchanters, they do have a reputation of sometimes being overly strong for their skill that they're providing. It's always been a touchy subject, but yeah. Rek'Sai obviously got changed from being basically Assassin Rek'Sai to Bruiser Rek'Sai, but then became arguably the most broken jungler in the game for a long time. Became really tanky, then did insane amounts of damage, and because then they're a Bruiser, you can't just kill them. Very odd, but yeah. So the unborrowed physical damage is going down across the board, only by 5 though. And the Furious Bite is also going down. Whoa, considerably. Wow, look at that. Whoops, sorry, my bad. Look at that. It used to start at 55. Is this a typo? This has to be a typo, no? 55, it's now 5. And it used to be 75 max, it's 25. 85% bonus AD, 70. Huh? That has to be a typo. Surely this is 55. Surely that's 50, then 60. Surely that's just a 5 damage nerf, and then it's more the AD ratio. That can't be right. That would be huge. I've always said, oh, you know, these damage, they don't look like a lot of the damage nerfs. That's potentially if that is true, that's one of the biggest damage nerfs I've ever seen. Ever. 5 physical damage? Are you saying, like, what? That has to be wrong. Rel, base armor decreased, passive armor and magic resist steel decreased also. So yeah, she's basically, from what I can tell, and I haven't seen too much Rel in my solo queue, she's too tanky. So her base armor's going down, and that was a lot. Like 39 base armor's a lot. Armor and magic resist steel is also going down. So overall, yeah, she's just going to be a bit less tanky, which is good. Rengar, base health regeneration decreased, and Q crit strike damage conversion has also been decreased. So the health regen has gone from 7 to 6. It's not too bad. Obviously, he does have innate healing with his W. But then the bigger one, Q Savagery, yeah, that's a big nerf to Rengar. Crit strike damage conversion was 95%. It's now 75%. So Essence Reaver and stuff like that, it isn't going to be as good. It still will be good. I don't think this will realistically change Rengar's build that much. I think it's just toning down what he already is, and that's fine. Shaco! Again, I've been playing a decent amount of Shaco, especially in the arena mode, but it's more AP Shaco. But yeah, Q, AD scaling increased, backstab damage increased, bug fixes. Ooh, okay. So bonus physical damage is going up by 10% AD ratio. That's always nice. And then the backstab crit strike damage was 40%. It's now 55. Wow. So that incentivizes also, you know, crit on Shaco? Could you go proper crit Shaco and not lethality, go Infinity Edge, go crit? And you could maybe in mid to late game one-shot squishy things with a backstab. And then Hallucinate is Prowler's Claw bug fix. Prowler's Claw passive would now probably be applied to Shaco's clone. Okay, so it was giving away that wasn't the real Shaco probably. And then yeah, Shaco boxes no longer instantly die to Hextech Dragon's Lightning AoE. That's good. And Zeri Q bullets will now deal the correct amount of damage to Shaco's boxes. Probably she was just one-shotting them as well. Fair enough. Shyvana, Q80 scaling increased, attack speed increase added, cooldown increased. E now additionally scales a bonus AD. Okay, so they're trying to get rid of maybe just the AP dragon. So bonus physical damage is going up. They're keeping the AP ratio though. And then the new attack speed increased is the next two attacks will have increased attack speed. So they're trying to basically make Shyvana's maybe go more on hit, AD on hit builds. Possibly. And then cooldown of it is also going up because obviously it's more powerful. And then the Flame Breath, it used to... so bonus magic damage on hit versus marked targets was 3% of target's maximum health. It's now 3% of target's maximum health, but then plus an extra 1% per AD. So yeah, that's incentivizing proper AD Shyvana. That's cool. Volibear, passive AP scaling increased, Q quality of life change, and W heal increased. So yeah, his AoE Lightning Claw is going to be better with AP. Again, obviously, some Volibears do build a bit of AP. Typically, Volibear top starts Doran's Ring, and that's fine. Some Volibears I obviously have seen and go a bit probably extreme. They go the Omni Vamp AP item and a Nashor's Tooth. And obviously, if this is getting AP buffs, that might just be better. So yeah, and then removed a hitch in Volibear's auto attacks after stunning at high attack speeds for his Q. And then the Frenzy Maul, the heal, is also going up based on your missing health. So you just all around buffs of Volley, maybe not be too bad in top lane now. So there we go. Zerath, base mana decreased, passive cooldown increased, now reduced cooldown upon killing a unit, now procs with turrets. R number of casts increased, damage decreased though, because you get an extra one probably. Now deals additional damage with successive bolts upon hitting a champion. Oh, scripters will be happy. So despite Zerath's success as a support, he's been unpopular and mediocre in mid. Yeah, because this champion cannot exist in mid. That's what, again, they'll say that. But simply just the champion cannot exist in the current meta of play in the last 1 to 2 years. He sucks versus assassins. You play Fizz or something against Zerath, you may as well just lose the game straight away. Zerath also, his wave clear, unless they're changing here, isn't good enough to stop like a Katarina or something wanting to roam. It's just not there. And if you do use all your mana to actually have that constant wave clear, you're just going to go ooh. And obviously the first thing I see is they're nerfing his base mana, which is bad for having good wave clear. So the passive though is going again a nerf, but mana surge cooldown is now reduced by 2 seconds upon killing a unit. That's good. Okay, so if you do well... Okay, that's actually quite a nice change. So 16 seconds, there's 6 minions in a non-cannon wave. So 6 minions, you lost it, all of them well, to 2 seconds. That's a 12-second reduction. So then it's only on a 4-second timer. If you lost to each minion in a normal minion wave... If it's a cannon wave, it'll be a 2 second. And by the time you actually, kill all the minions, it'll be on cooldown. That's good for wave clear. Okay, so yes, I would say maybe removing base mana may be unnecessary. That's good for wave clear because it incentivizes you have to be good at last hitting, but you're being rewarded for it. That is what we sometimes talk about. That's skill expression. It may not look like it. It may not be like an actual skill straight out, but you're being rewarded for doing something good by being rewarded in something mechanical. That's what we talk about skill expression. R also, so instead of 3 casts, 3, 4, 5, it's now 4, 5, 6. The damage of each damage, though, has gone down, but yeah, again, you're getting an extra 1. But then if a champion is hit with a bolt, successive bolts will deal an additional base damage plus 5% AP. This applies to any number of champions hit with a bolt. Oh, wow, okay. So if you 2 ultis go on one champion, you hit both of them and kill them, then you swap over to another champion, you'll still get the bonus. Huh. Damn. That could be a lot of damage, actually, if you're very accurate. Maybe you'll have to pull a Xerath game out soon. Zyra severely quality of life changes to everything. So again, like we said earlier, like the Lysandra, if Zyra was released in 2023, she'd basically have all of these things anyway. That's the way you have to think about it. So her passive plant damage from AoE spells was 4, now 3. Plant damage from ranged auto attacks 4 to 5. Plant damage to monsters is going down. But it's going to all monsters, not just non-epic. Okay. The W, seeds on first rank up is going to 2, so that's nice. So more seeds straight away. Grasping Roots, E no longer locks Zyra out of using flash during cast time. That's good. Again, a very modern adjustment there. And then Strangle Thorns, the ultimate. Again, same thing as Lysandra. The damage application was only ever done 4 times a second every, 0.25. But now it's 16 times a second, constantly looking, oh, can I do damage to this person? Should I be doing damage to this person? It's a lot more modern. And then casting logic, Zyra will walk to the position at which her R was cast. Is now, Zyra will immediately cast at maximum range. Okay, so that is something that Riot has done before with champions. I think Annie Tibbers was the last time they did it. And it does take a while to adjust to. So if you play Zyra, do expect to whiff your ultimate a few times. Axiom Arc, again, not a great item, to be honest. There's not really any massive champions that build this. It kind of just seems like a waste. Gale Force cooldown is going up to 120. I still will say, like, they should probably just get rid of this item. People complained, obviously, about mobility and items when it came to Gale Force. Prowler's Claw, they removed it from Prowler's Claw. And then again, I've seen so many people who like Prowlers go, but they kept it with Gale Force. Yeah, they shouldn't have. It's an unhealthy thing to give mobility with an item. So I do think they should get rid of it. They're already nerfing, making it that you can't use it as much. But still, yeah, I don't think it should really exist. Infinity Edge is getting nerfed by base attack damage, but being given more crit. I don't see many people buy Infinity Edge, to be honest. Prowler's Claw, more lethality from Prowlers. Obviously, it did lose a lot of its strength from what it used to be. Randuin's Omen is getting more crit strike chance reduction. Honestly, it's an item that I think more people should be buying. Especially with, I know, if you look at modern meta, it's been a lot of AP AD carries. But when you do have a crit-based AD carry, it's a very, very good item against it. Spirit Shojin is being made cheaper, but also given more health. So this is where they've said about like Jax and Hecarim, this could become a pretty early item for them, and that is quite worrying. Spirit Visage magic resist is going up. Static shift. Oh, okay, what are they doing here? Can it please go away now? So the attack speed's going up, and then the minion damage was 250 to 450, but now it's moving to 250 to 350, so it's 100 less. But then it's 250 plus 25 per level starting at level 7. And then 12.5 per level starting at level 11. And then 250 plus 10 per level starting at level 9. So Static Shiv's minion damage has been tuned to nearly kill caster minions, but not quite do it unless you're at the cutting edge of experience gain. Unfortunately, this very specific goal has meant it's easy to eclipse with Dematerializer. Additionally, the item can stall games in its late game damage with requiring Baron buff to push through. Outside these worries, the item is pretty well balanced. So with the nerfs to Wave Clear, that basically is like telling me that Riot doesn't mind like every Kai'Sa and Zeri and LeBlanc still buying this item. I even saw an Akali do it the other day, and I was like, what? Very weird. Steric's Gauge, just again same buffs basically to the other item, whatever got buffed. 100 gold less and more health. Just not many people are buying it anymore. Triforce, attack speed's going down. Attack speed per stack, though, is going from 4 to 3 plus 3. No, this is just 6. Why the hell did they do that? So that's being buffed. And in the maximum threshold strike stacks, maximum AD decreased from 20% to 18. So Triforce got massive buffs in mid-season, finally has home in several fighters' inventories. Several marksmen have found Infinity Edge force builds of stats make a lot of sense as well. After all, anyone with short cooldowns and easiest ways to auto attack is going to use Spellblade well, so like Kindred, for example. While the ramping AD passive from Threshold Strikes also rewards long duration auto attack patterns, we're pretty happy with its suite of users, and I think they all make sense. With that said, we want to make sure that balancing the item for marksmen still allows fighters deal tons of damage. Fair enough. Ghost is... Oh, wow. They're removing that. Dude, that's a big deal. So the duration is going up by 5 seconds just across the board. It was 10 seconds, now 15. The bigger thing is we ever had that Darius with Ghost killing everybody and always having Ghost because it extended the duration per kill. That's going away. They're literally getting rid of that. Wow, that's big. That's actually really big for a lot of champions. That's big for Kayn. That's big for Darius. That's a good nerf. I don't mind that. Jungle buff adjustments. Okay, so blue buff and red buff are both getting buffed. Obviously, it's a good change or good buffs for junglers because they always get their buffs now. No matter what, you always get your buffs. And when you have, obviously, the 1200 smite, one person on your team also gets the buffs, but the jungler will always get it too. So that's pretty good. Melee slow is going up. And it's not going up, it's having better scaling. Well, technically weaker in the early game. Technically. It's just basically changing throughout. The range slow is unchanged. The true damage burn remains at 10 for levels 1 to 5, but then it increases of increments 5 per level, so it gets better after level 5. And I'd imagine they've done that because usually red buff, your first red buff and blue buff will kind of fall off by the time you get to like level 4-ish. So it's kind of unchanged, and then the next red buff will actually start taking an effect. And then ability haste is getting better as the game goes on. Cool. ARAM don't really care about. Clash is happening. Oh, I'm not here. Oh, I didn't know there was Clash. I'm not here this weekend. It's one of my little holidays that is happening. So unfortunately, I won't be able to play. I actually didn't know. Mythic shop rotation. Data policy. What? Oh, this is for your API. So they're basically... Third-party sites will not be allowed to share. Oh, whoa! Oh! Damn! So it's about the, you know, the augments that you get to pick that make you different or change or stronger. Third-party websites are not allowed to report the win rates of augments, the average game placement with selected augments, and augments numbers based on data with the exception of popularity and pick rate. Wow. That is basically, they're trying to make it... Yes, there's a ranked system in the arena mode, but they're trying to make it a bit more casual. And if you give all the data of, you know, what the best min-maxing augment is, it's going to become really serious. And people are just going to do the same thing again and again and again. That's what Riot are trying to avoid. Fair enough. Bug fixes. And then the upcoming skins. But there we go. Decent patch. I'm happy some champions have been nerfed, but again, I'm unhappy with some of the nerfs. Like, seeing Hecarim in the nerf list was like, oh my god, finally. And then seeing what the actual nerf was like, really? That's the nerf? I don't know. But I'm looking forward to Arena Mode. I'm honestly looking forward to Split 2. I know it's a weird timing of me going away for a few days. Like, I'm away Saturday, Sunday, Monday this upcoming weekend. But I'll still be streaming... I'm thinking of streaming Wednesday evening, Thursday, and Friday. So I'll have a few days on the new patch. And then when I get back on Tuesday, just to make an announcement, on Tuesday next week, I'm home alone. Queen Pleb and Maya actually are staying at the place that I'm going on the weekend. They're staying there for nearly a week, where I'm coming back because obviously in the middle of August, I'm actually going on my, let's say, proper holiday, international holiday. So I'm coming back after a few days. I'm going to be home alone. So I'm planning on Tuesday doing really big stream, like honestly, like maybe a 12-hour stream. So you should be able to come say hello if you're in the area, you know, twitch.tv/HuzzyGames. But anyway, that's gonna be it. Hopefully you enjoyed the patch notes. In the comments down below, key thing to let me know if you are made it to the end. Talk about the arena mode if you're looking forward to it. If you don't care, just talk about the arena mode, and I'll let them know you made it to the end of the video. And if you can press like on the video, it does help out too. Please do subscribe if you're new. I don't know how many new people there are, but if you're new, cool. But anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace.
dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal